The loneliness of seeing too much. Have you ever noticed that the more deeply you think, the more distant you sometimes feel from the people around you? It's almost as if the act of questioning life itself creates an invisible barrier. This isn't your imagination. Throughout history, society has been uneasy with those who probe too deeply, not because deep thinkers are always right, but because they shine light into corners most people would rather leave dark. From Socrates to Simone Weil, from Galileo to Hannah Arendt, the greatest minds have been doubted, mocked, or even punished. Not for lack of intelligence, but because their questions unsettled the comfortable rhythm of the world. But why? Why does deep thought so often lead to isolation? The answer lies within human psychology. When we see someone physically stronger, we usually admire them. When we encounter wealth, we may feel envy, but not personal threat. But when faced with greater intellect, something unusual happens. It touches the core of who we are. Our identity is built around what we believe, how we see the world, the stories we tell ourselves. A deep thinker doesn't just share new ideas, they quietly reflect back the limits of our own understanding, and that reflection is rarely welcomed. This is what psychologists sometimes call the threat of comparison. It's not arrogance on the part of the thinker. It's the unease felt by those around them. Just by existing, the thinker stirs discomfort. And so what happens? Instead of curiosity, people retreat. Instead of dialogue, they dismiss. Have you ever tried to raise a profound idea in casual conversation, only to be met with silence? Or with a quick change of topic? That's not chance. It's a subtle form of self-defense. History shows that charisma often triumphs over depth. People are drawn to confidence more than complexity. Leaders who promise easy answers attract crowds, while philosophers who raise unsettling questions are pushed aside. This is one of the strange paradoxes of intelligence. The sharper your vision, the fewer people want to look through it with you. Modern science even explains part of this. Studies in neuroscience suggest that when people feel intellectually outmatched, the brain's fear circuits activate, as if they're facing a threat. Why? Because for most of human history, survival depended less on truth and more on belonging. To be excluded from the group was dangerous, and those who think too differently still trigger that ancient fear of social disruption. Deep thinkers don't just challenge ideas, they challenge the fragile glue that holds groups together. In private, people may admire them, but in public, they often become targets. Add to this our modern digital world. Social media rewards quick takes and catchy lines, not patient, layered thought. Viral content spreads because it's easy, emotional, and simplified. Meanwhile, nuanced voices struggle to be heard. In a landscape designed for speed, depth feels like an interruption. So what does this mean for the thinker, for the person who can't help but search for truth? It means the path is often lonely, not because thinkers lack the ability to connect, but because their questions put them slightly out of rhythm with the majority. Philosophers like Nietzsche and Kierkegaard knew this well. Both described deep thought as both a gift and a burden, a light that reveals, but also isolates. The more you see, the harder it is to unsee. Yet this burden carries a hidden strength. Solitude can become a sanctuary rather than a prison. Time alone can sharpen insight, fuel creativity, and free the thinker from the constant pull of conformity. And there are always others, scattered across time and place, who share the same hunger for meaning. Through books, conversations, and ideas, deep thinkers eventually find one another. Even if society at large resists them, history remembers them. So maybe the real question isn't whether deep thought is a blessing or a curse. Maybe the question is, what do you do once you see the world differently? Do you shrink back into comfort, or do you lean into the solitude that clarity brings? Because in the end, thinking deeply may separate you from the crowd. proud, but it also brings you closer to truth. And sometimes truth is worth